Okay, so hi, Dave here, and today I'm going to do a video about an opening, namely the Giuoco Piano, or more specifically the Moeller attack. Um, so it starts out with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, and this is known as the Italian game or the Giuoco Piano. So c3 is a really common move nowadays, paving the way for a quick d4. So here you're gonna play knight f6. I'm also doing this from black's perspective, so you know how to combat the Moeller attack as black. So d4 right away, and here we take. And here 99% of your opponents will probably just take back, which is the main line. There is also a tricky move white can play here, which is e5. And the most important thing you have to know about this move is that after e5, don't move the knight, but instead play d5. And I really like to play this line as white, this e5 move, because it's just a sideline that um, many players don't know about. So uh, some opponents, you can confuse some opponents. So, and if they move the knight, white can get some really nice attacks. Okay, but like I said, the main line is to take, and here we are gonna give this check. And here there is three ways to really three common ways to block this check. The main line I'm gonna look at is knight c3. It's also a really common move nowadays. Um, Probably a better move is to play bishop d2 for white. Um, and well, knight d2 is also a move, but I'm not going to look into that. So just going to show you shortly what happens after bishop d2. Take, knight takes, and here it is important to either play a d5 right away, or you can play the more tricky move knight takes e4. So after knight takes e4 and they take back, now you play d5, forking uh, the knight and bishop. So the computer line here is to play bishop d3, and after takes. Here you can either castle or play knight e7. And this is okay for black here. But the line I'm gonna look into more with more detail is knight to c3. So this is called the Greco's attack and leads to the Moeller attack for white. And after knight c3, the move I'm gonna look at is knight takes e4. Before I'm gonna show knight takes e4, I'm gonna show you a short sequence of moves where I knew this opening up until now, but here I was kinda lost, so I didn't know what to do. So I'm gonna show you what can possibly go wrong if you don't know this opening. So here I played d5 because I was taught to play in the center, open diagonals, and this knight is actually pinned, so it cannot take. So this didn't look so bad to me, but it's not actually not a good move. So after pawn takes, knight takes, here my opponent castled, which is a really good move. And here I was like, okay, can I not win a pawn and get something going here? So I took the knight, they took back, and here I took with the bishop, which looks really natural, right? Because we are winning a pawn and we are attacking the rook. But this is actually a blunder, because after bishop takes c3, white has the crushing move queen b3, which is a double attack. It's attacking the bishop, but it's also attacking f7. And here the computer actually recommends bishop e6, just losing a piece. So this is just over for black. Black is just lost here. My opponent actually, interestingly, didn't play this queen b3 move. He played another move. He sacrificed his bishop, and after I took, now again now he played queen b3, and white is gonna win his piece back. He just won the pawn back on f7, and my king is in some real trouble here. It's a really awkward position for black, and white is so even though he didn't find the best move, this is still really good for white. And so just to show you what can go wrong if you don't know your opening. So instead of d5, I'm gonna recommend knight takes e4, and after knight takes e4, there is the main line is to castle, but since this looks a little bit scary, I'm also gonna show you what happens after queen to e2, pinning the knight, and I'm gonna also show you what happens if they play queen b3 right now, and d5. So okay, after queen to e2, you just play d5, defending, and that's how far I will go about these sidelines. If they play queen to b3 here, you're just gonna castle, defending f7, and if d5 is played, this is a little bit more interesting, so I'm gonna show you uh, this line. Now we can go into this line where we just take the knight, they take back, we take the pawn with check, forking the king and rook, but here after the bishop has to block on d2. After bishop d2, this is actually really important. Don't take the rook. I mean, it's fine to take the rook, but the computer is reading just zeros, so it's really equal. After bishop takes a1, instead take the bishop. So if you take the rook, the problem is that after queen takes, there is some pressure along this a1 h8 diagonal, and g7 is hit. And we obviously don't want the queen to take on g7 because it's gonna be really awkward. It's gonna be really hard to castle, and also our knight is hit, so it's actually not easy to defend this position. I mean, it's fine, but it's not. This is a better move. This is just much better. Just take the bishop is check, so the queen has to take, and now here black is actually up 2 pawns, and obviously white has some compensation. So I mean, it's not like a 2 pawn advantage really, but this is okay for black. This is better. Okay, so this is if they play d5, and now I'm gonna show the main move here, which is to castle. So after they castle, now that this pin is no more, we just take the knight. And here actually the main line is not to take back right away. Or I mean, it's an okay move, but the Moeller attack really now starts with d5. So if they take the bishop, which is a really common move against many players will just take the piece back once this is reached. Here it's just really important to play d5. Don't get greedy and take this pawn. If you take this pawn, attacking the queen, you're actually losing the knight right away. Queen to e1 check is gonna win the knight. So just play d5 here. So this is if they take, but the Moeller attack starts with d5 here, and after d5 I'm gonna look at knight e5. Another move that's possible here is to just retreat the bishop to f6, and this is also fine, but I'm gonna look at knight e5, which is a little bit more complicated. Looks really messy right now, but that's why I'm gonna recommend this move actually, and it's also probably the best move. So after knight e5, now the main line is to take. I'm also gonna look at queen e2, bishop b3, and both of these moves are also fine for white. And I'm gonna look at the blunder knight takes knight, or this is actually a mistake. But okay, so first, if either queen to e2 or bishop b3 is played, in both of these cases you can just castle. So after queen to e2 you can just castle. That's the best move. And on bishop b3 also you can castle, or you can also play d6, whichever you like more. Both are fine. And now finally, if knight takes knight, which is not very common, but just so you know what to do after knight takes knight, the first move is really obvious. This bishop is attacked and it can take the knight, so we're gonna take the knight. And now, why did white just sacrifice a piece? Probably because they were thinking, well, I can win the piece back, right? With rook e1 or queen e1 or queen e2. But this doesn't actually work. So after rook e1, there is one move you have to find here, which just defends all of your pieces. And it's queen to e7. It looks really strange because normally you don't want to line up your king and queen against this rook with some pieces in between. Normally you don't want to do this, but in this case this is now actually indirectly defending this knight, because if white now takes the knight, there is the nice tactical shot, bishop takes h2 check, and after king takes bishop we just take the rook. And we are up the exchange, and we are up 2 pawns, and the king is really awkward, so this is just plain lost for white here. If they do the same thing with, instead of the rook with the queen, that's even better for black, so obviously. So just so you know what to do after knight takes knight on e5. Okay, so the main line here is now to capture the bishop, which is actually really obvious. And after this move, we just take this bishop, and white's gonna play queen to d4, winning the piece back. All you have to do is not really care about what knight they take, just castle, and now it really doesn't matter which knight they take, the other knight is going to d6. That's all you have to really know here. So if they take this knight goes to d6, attacking the queen. And that's as far as I will go about this opening. And I mean, black is up a pawn here, but white obviously has compensation, so the computer is giving black a very slight advantage. One thing to note here is that the bishops are on opposite colors, so if we reach an endgame where every piece is traded, this usually leads to really drawish endgames, even if we are up a pawn. And some ideas here for black are to play b6 and develop the bishop to b7, which is a really nice diagonal here. Rook e8, and sometimes even rook e4. And also sometimes you have to prevent some mating ideas white might have here after moving the queen to somewhere over here. So sometimes it's important to play a preventive move h6, or yeah, some move like that. So yeah, that's how far I will go, and maybe I'm gonna show the whole my main line, so to say, again in a little bit more fast fashion without the sidelines. So bishop c4, bishop c5, c3, knight f6, and here takes, you give this check, and the Moeller or Greco's attack is knight c3, and here important to take on e4. Looks a little bit scary, but it's not really. Castles, you take, and now if they play d5, you play knight e5, and takes, and here now no matter what knight they take, if they take this knight, for example, this time I'm gonna show this way, knight to d6 again. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, maybe got something out of it. I'm probably gonna do more videos like this in the future. So yeah, like I said, I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye.